Hey guys, so today's video is going to be different than what you may expect from my channel. As some of you may know, and actually this is something I learned not that long ago, but September is National Blood Cancer Awareness Month, which is important because last year I was actually diagnosed with a pretty rare form of leukemia. So, being that this is, I guess, my 1 year mark of being diagnosed, I just wanted to kind of tell my story. And when I was first diagnosed, it was kind of hard to find information on this type of leukemia. So I really wanted to get this out there for anybody else who gets diagnosed, so that they can have an idea of what to expect and hear how this happened for other people. But basically, a little backstory. My family has a history of issues relating to different blood disorder things. Like my grandma has diabetes, and other family members have heart problems and different types of cancers and whatnot. So I was already kind of predisposed to health problems. But to be safe, I like going and getting my blood checked, just as a safety measure, and really I think everybody needs to do it, because the earlier you catch, whatever it is, the better your odds are of beating and surviving whatever that is also. So I remember on Thursday, I think mid-September-ish at some point, I went in and had an appointment with my doctor. We got some blood work done, and the next day at 8 a.m. My doctor called me, and that was concerning because typically when your doctor calls you at 8 a.m., it's not to congratulate you because you're tested really well. It's usually something's wrong. And so she told me that my white blood cell count was really high and we needed to do more tests on it. So at lunchtime I went and got more blood work done, and later on that evening on my way home, 4 hours later, I got another phone call. This is on a Friday, right? So I'm thinking, oh, that's not good, right? Hopefully this is she's like, oh, don't worry, everything's normal, it was a weird fluke or something. And my doctor calls me, right, and she says, you're not sick, are you? And I said, no. And I said, it's possible, I work in a school district, so I could be sick. And she goes, okay, let's give it another week and do another blood test, because your white blood cell count is really high. It jumped up even more. So it's a Friday afternoon. I'm kind of expecting to go home and have a good weekend. And she basically informed me that if in a week my white blood cell count didn't go back to normal, then I would be scheduling an appointment with an oncologist. So for a week, my wife and I kind of panicked and had to do our own research and figure out what all these numbers meant. And of course, anytime you start Googling health stuff, the first thing that comes up is you're gonna die, right? No matter what it is, your stomach hurts, you're probably gonna die. Your toe feels weird, you're probably gonna die. So we weren't really sure what any of it meant. We just knew that it probably wasn't going to be something good. And my hope, I think at the time, was just that maybe I had pneumonia. And I remember that being kind of odd, that I kind of hoped and prayed that I had pneumonia, because I didn't want cancer or leukemia or whatever else, WebMD and Google were giving us. So a week passes, I do my blood test again, and my doctor calls me on my way home again to tell me, my white blood cell count has jumped up even higher, and it would be time to talk to an oncologist. So a couple weeks go by, because I live in the LA area, and getting an appointment with an oncologist, even with good insurance, is kind of hard to do. So took about 2 weeks. I finally go to see him, and he tells me there's more tests we have to do. before I can get an actual diagnosis. But he tells me what he thinks I have, which he said, I can't be 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure it's a form of leukemia. And I said, well, that's not good. But okay, so I do my blood work, and other than just a typical blood scan this time, he threw in a couple of other tests, and one of them was something that I think it took like 2 or 3 weeks to get the results back, but they basically had to send my blood to City of Hope, where they did a test called the BCR-ABL test, which basically scans my blood for something called the Philadelphia gene and another type of cancer. Basically what the Philadelphia gene was, or is 2 of my chromosomes, number 9 and 22, broke a portion of them off. This is the best understanding I have from trying to do research on it, and so I'm not 100% sure on all of it, but basically the 9 and 22, a part of them broke off and swapped places with each other, and it causes white blood cells to grow immaturely, which basically means they don't do anything. They just kind of flood your system, which is dangerous. It's basically a DDoS attack inside my immune system, which isn't good, so because you kind of need an immune system. That wasn't too good to find out, but so to confirm my type of leukemia, I had to do a bone marrow biopsy, and if you don't know what that is, I'm going to say don't Google it. I made the mistake of Googling it beforehand and watching some videos with my coworkers, and I don't do it. I can give you the very easy to comprehend version of it, which is basically, it's like a 10-15 minute procedure where they lay down and they have to scrape a piece of your bone and take a sample of your bone, and then they take some of your bone marrow, which they took from my hip, which I guess where they take it from everybody with this kind of leukemia that they're suspicious of having this kind of leukemia on. So I do that, and immediately after, the doctor tells me, okay, we're going to send this off to the lab, but you have what's called chronic myeloid leukemia, which I'm like 90% positive I butchered the name of that, but it's basically CML, and it's like what I told you guys. It just basically means my white blood cell counts go crazy sometimes, and it can really wreck things. So we were very concerned, like, okay, what does that actually mean? And it's a very rare form of leukemia, so finding information on it wasn't the easiest thing to do. It was all very medical and very scientific, and it wasn't exactly easy to find readily available information on it that we could easily decipher. Our biggest concern was like, does this mean I'm dying, or like what is this, right? And it actually, compared to most cancers and other leukemia and lymphoma and whatnot, I got off relatively easy. Basically, I take a pill that's like yay big. It's like the size of an aspirin. It's tiny. I take 1 pill a day, every day forever, pretty much, and it regulates like the, I don't know. It does it. I'm not a scientist. I don't know these things. I just know that it keeps me from dying, I guess. Other than this pill that I take daily, there really wasn't much else that was going to be happening. And what we found out was we went to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Blood Conference, and if you don't know the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, they are a really great tool for anybody who has any kind of blood cancer, whether you're a caregiver or actually somebody who has been diagnosed, because they do really, really great work. They supplied us with more information in one conference than we had gotten from talking with doctors and trying to Google this sort of information in like months. It was eye-opening, the kind of stuff we learned. My leukemia is so rare that I think like 2,000 people a year get it in the US or something like that, or are diagnosed with it. And I think that number is growing because they're able to detect it in younger people now, which is good because the earlier you catch it, the better you are and whatnot. So, but basically, we got to sit in a conference or like a meeting with one of the scientists that was on the team responsible for identifying the Philadelphia gene, which is that the 2 chromosomes that switch apart, and correlating that to CML. And because of that, they were able to properly diagnose newer patients and get proper medicine going. And it was fascinating to listen to. And one of the things we found out was apparently like 20 years ago, if you were diagnosed, you had like a 5-year lifespan expectation. And now, because of the medicine and all the advancements that have been made by, all the people working on this stuff, and everybody who's, the people who are far smarter than I learning all this stuff. But now, I mean, like I said, I take it and there's no change in my life, pretty much. It just, everything is, I'm expected to live a normal, healthy life. Well, healthy-ish, right? But yeah, it was really an eye-opening experience for us, because this is stuff that, like I said, we had no clue. We would have never known this information. And getting to actually meet the person that was on the team responsible for basically keeping me alive forever, just fascinating. If you, like I said, if you have a blood cancer or are a caregiver to somebody who's a blood cancer patient, it's just go. You get connected to people that like I find out there's support groups for my type of leukemia. And granted, it's all older people because they're just starting to diagnose people my age now, but still, like, we had no clue. We would have never found this information on our own. So, but yeah, that's basically my story of discovering leukemia. And I mean, there were side effects to starting chemo. There were side effects and growing pains with taking the chemo and having to learn everything associated with it. But other than that, I mean, everything's been good. It's comforting to know, just all the information that's out there now, and it's nice that I can get my story out. And hopefully, if you are diagnosed with CML or you think you may have CML, this is something that I didn't find prior, and I had no clue about this kind of stuff. So I wanted to get my story out to other people who may have this kind of leukemia, and to let you guys know that, like, talk to those people. It's a free conference to go to. They do free stuff all the time for you to attend. Their goal is to just get you information. So thank you guys for listening to me kind of ramble on about everything that's happened this past year and all the kind of drastic changes that have been going on. But there will be links down below to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's website and other places where you can go to get information on them. So if you have any questions for me about being diagnosed and all the other stuff, go and write them down in the comment section, and I'll respond back as quickly as I can. But yeah, hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.